Do you suffer from lifestyle deficit disorder? The purpose of the Perfect Day podcast is to share simple steps and strategies as a powerful antidote to lifestyle deficit disorder. Listen in as I reveal a path away from disillusionment and dissatisfaction to a life of purpose, joy, and freedom, making every day a perfect day. Welcome back to the Perfect Day podcast. Koki Barini, your Perfect Day engineer, here with Jessica Schmidlapp of Dudley VanDyke. Those of you listening cannot see the fabulosity of what I have on today. This is my very own Dudley VanDyke. But we have Jessica here. She is the CEO and founder of Dudley VanDyke. Yep. She is chief ideation, designer, de jour, all of it, with this amazing and incredible jewelry line. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
I love that you're here. I typically open the show by talking about, and I know this resonates with you, because I just know it does, that this world is just so filled with fear and scarcity and just this idea of perfectionism, right? And the biggest thing for me with the podcast is that I really want to impart this idea that perfect days are not about perfection.
No.
They're just not. And I love being able to say that you've been through Perfect Day process. And I would love it if you would share for our listeners what your Perfect Day experience has been, whether it's the process, whether it's what perfect days look for you. Just take us down a little journey of Jessica and Dudley VanDyke.
Okay, I'm going to back way up.
Okay.
I'm going to back up to when you and I met.
You own the mic, baby.
Because there were some imperfect days that led to the process of perfect days.
I'm positive.
Okay.
It's true.
So at the age of, I was 40, my then husband, who was 42, passed away from cancer. And that 1 year long journey of losing the love of your life and having a 12-year-old daughter at home, and just a lot of nights where you lay in bed and you know that this guy sleeping next to you is going to be gone, and what on earth is life going to look like? And I still felt like I was a vibrant human being. I have this gorgeous daughter, and like, how are we going to get through life? And how are we going to find joy? And how are we going to get past this and through this? And in my late husband's honor, how are we going to honor him with our lives in a way? A couple weeks after he died, I had to sort of throw out the friends and family who were loving on us so hard and just say, we got to get going. Charlotte and I have to get going because we have a life to live, and Chris can't be here to live his big, beautiful life, but we're going to do the best that we can to make him proud. So, and I'm a wanderlust human being, and Chris and I were, and Charlotte, and we were travelers, and we like to meet people and connect people and kind of get out of our boxes mildly. So Charlotte and I that summer, she was 12, jumped on a plane, flew to Hong Kong, and made our way back to the States, sort of doing an around-the-world journey, and which was really just us running away from our very sad life at the moment. We pulled back in at the end of the summer and walked into our home and just both started crying, because at the end of the day, Daddy's still gone, the husband's still gone, but, okay, so what's life going to look like? So I actually met you, Koki, somewhere in that first year process of
Lucky
trying
girl,
to...
me.
Yeah, maybe not.
I get to call this a JOB.
Maybe
what?
Not. But through the process of sorting through some financial, what nows, what next, and your onboarding process with clients involves, it may have been a precursor to the now perfect day, but it involves, really being thoughtful about what you want your future. I won't even go so far as to retirement because I was 40.
Retirement's the dirty word. I don't even like using it.
And I had just had a 42-year-old husband who died. So
it's
you may not even reach retirement.
It is not a guaranteed time in the future.
Right.
It's just not.
No.
And it's unfortunate.
And life is now.
Life is now.
So,
Amen. Preach it.
Save for a rainy day, but like I could be accused of living a little large in so much as we might not make it to our retirement.
Right.
And that's...
Well, which do you want to be accused of?
Yeah, that.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I want to be accused of... Does anybody know where in the world Jessica is? Right now.
Where's Waldo?
I know.
Yes.
So anyway, onboarding with you involved,
oh my God, you're making it a commercial.
No, it is.
Thank you.
It's a process. It's a process that I actually needed to go through. And here's what's funny. Like when we did this process and in terms of sort of bucket listing with money and dreams and goals, I remember so clearly we never planned for my next wedding. I planned for my daughter's wedding, but we didn't plan, I didn't plan for that. And I thought, right? And so now I'm remarried.
Wow.
Almost 3 years.
But
4
it was,
years. Sorry,
but it was
years.
a part of your perfect day.
It was.
Now,
There would be someone, but I didn't.
we didn't plan for it. I think maybe that was a bit too raw. Don't you think?
That's probably
maybe.
true. That's probably
maybe it would
true.
be too raw.
Yeah.
I have to defend my honor.
Yeah,
as a
that's true.
Very prudent
That's true.
financial planner.
Or I just looked like hell, and no one was going to marry me, so it wasn't going to.
No way that's true. I mean,
it's possible.
Okay, so listeners might not be able to see you.
Mama
but
was in a bad way.
Come on. Yeah.
I did okay. In the end of it, I did okay. But
part of your perfect day was dancing.
It
maybe
was.
With someone
My
on
perfect
a
day
beach
is always blue water, although I've got a little bit of a mountain vibe going now.
Oh.
But that's because I'm
that speaks to me.
Perimenopausal and I'm always hot. So I need some cool weather. Charleston's hot in the summer.
Bring me snow. Snow angels,
Bring me
baby. Snow angels.
So yeah, my perfect day is always my loved ones, my family, blue water, beach, disco music. It just is what it is. Loud, great music. And
so perfect days for you are not about perfection.
Oh God, no.
Right?
I don't even know what that is.
Right. I was asked the question last week, Koki, why did you choose perfect in the title of the book? Why did you choose perfect day? Right. And I said, well, of course, I chose it by design. It's about, I am a perfectionist, unfortunately. And unfortunately, I have a perfectionist daughter who's followed me. And it's really about embracing every day, calling a day perfect that is absolutely imperfect.
Right.
And recognizing the imperfection of the perfectness of imperfection.
Right.
How about that?
I used to be an interior designer, and frustratingly, you'd have a whole, let's say someone's living room all pulled together and sorted out, fabrics, trim, pillows, sofas, upholstery. And inevitably something goes wrong, and a fabric is discontinued, this is little stuff. These are country club problems, but
right.
Whenever
That's a nice
we had
way to say it.
Whenever we had to redirect, and it's at the time you're like, oh no, it was perfect. Whatever it was perfect.
Right.
And when you had to redirect, it always came together better than it had been before.
I love that.
So you just
wow.
When things go wrong and you have to resort and move on the fly and find a new vendor or whatever it is, a lot of times I think it works out for the better.
Isn't that a beautiful parallel? I want to circle back to something you said about your perfect days involve blue water, and I'm not sure the other things you said.
Disco music,
right? The Commodore.
Oh, yeah.
However, you didn't say, an amazing revenue day with Dudley VanDyke.
No.
It's on no one's gravestone.
No.
No one's headstone.
No.
No one's epitaph said.
No.
Best effing day at work.
Yeah.
It's just.
And I know this too well.
Right.
So there's that.
Right. However, you are the owner, the visionary, the designer of Dudley VanDyke. Take us down a road of, did any of your perfect days, any of your perfect day experiences through the process, I couldn't believe that on break you shared with me, you've been through it a couple times, I love that.
Thrice.
I love this. Did any of these lead to a Dudley VanDyke moment? And if not, that's fine. But take us through Dudley VanDyke, where you are. I know the listeners who are opining after the idea of how creative you must be to design these amazing artisan pieces of legacy. Honestly, this piece I wear on my neck is
heirlooms.
It's an heirloom. Thank you.
I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had, I know you are carried exclusively here at Krogan's in Charleston on King Street. We had Rhett Ramsey out and on this morning, and I know that innately that this is something that my children are going to have. Like, this is something that when I wear it, it's an experience. People 4 times a day will talk to me about my piece.
I love it.
And I know it makes me glow from ear to ear when I wear this piece, but it also gives me such great pleasure to know that this is such a traditional piece. It's gonna be an heirloom, and one of my children will have it for on and on and on. And there's a genesis to the watch fob piece,
right?
And so, will you talk us through that?
Yes.
Tell the listener what I'm wearing and how gorgeous it is.
So Cookie's wearing our Christopher. I need to sound like Vanna White. Our Christopher double Albert watch fob chain with our Pisces fob, and the Pisces fob is inspired by a chinoiserie, which would be an Asian double dolphin, and it's got a carved labradorite stone set in the base of it. And the double Albert chains were worn in the Victorian times. They're classic men. They were worn by men. The piece that Cokie has on right now was inspired by a piece that my first husband bought me in Sydney, Australia, at an antique show in sterling silver. I'm wearing it, and they're just perfectly worn by women as a necklace. Although we're really excited to be selling pieces to men, and have launched a new collection of cufflinks for men, and just really growing the line. Perfect day for Dudley VanDyke. There are a lot. I absolutely love going to Tucson for the gem show. I love playing with the dirty rocks, and we meet with our stone carver there, and it's inspirational.
And how about being picked up by Harper's Bazaar? And
twice.
Twice. And who else? I mean, those are perfect days.
So there was a real pinch me moment. There are a bunch. Traditional Home, because you meet these editors who are just lovely, and you go on a press junket through New York City, and you are not wearing Balenciaga clothes through Midtown Manhattan as you're like traipsing and sweaty and riding the subway with your $30,000 worth of gold jewelry from one editor to another. And I mean, we walked into Vogue. I have press people in a showroom in New York, which has been a huge blessing, through a women's conference, creative conference that I went to several years ago. And we're at Vogue, and you actually hawk your wares in the kitchen at Vogue.
Wow.
That's where you go to set up and meet with editors. And of course, unbeknownst to me, thank dear God, Anna Wintour walked right behind me. Devil Wears Prada, right behind me. So I missed her. But, and then right after that, we sent 9 pieces to Vogue for a photo shoot. Nothing's been run yet, but you have to pinch yourself when you're doing a mailing label to Vogue magazine.
I love
within
it.
the first year of your company's startup.
I love it.
And we love Harper's and Rob Report, and I mean, there's been an incredible list.
So I'm hearing having a good team is definitely a part of a perfect day.
Very much.
Right? I mean,
yes.
You can't do it all.
You can't. And from Charleston, South Carolina,
right.
We need access to a more international crowd. So with the showroom and PR people in New York, editors and stylists can fly into the showroom, pick pieces up for photo shoots, and then we're getting retail placement with stores throughout the country at this point, slowly but surely. It's fun. We're getting really cool trunk shows, and we're forever indebted to Krogan's, who gave us our launch. I like to say under their gilded wing. Mm-hmm. We were launched, and Garden & Gun magazine at Jubilee. So it's an amazing town, Charleston, and they've loved us and launched us.
Well, and how fitting to be here at Dig South, right? Because it does take tech in getting it out there.
It does.
And the theme, it's emerged sort of organically and not by design, has been one of evolution. And so when I think Vogue, I think paper.
I do
and,
too.
And it's really emerged into more, hasn't it?
Yes.
So we're going to go to break. When we come back, I want to talk about something you said earlier, which is never say never. And I also want to talk about evolution. So we've got Jessica Schmidlapp here, Dudley VanDyke. Thanks for joining us with the Perfect Day podcast live at Dig South 2018. A perfect day is far from being about perfection. At the root of a perfect day is gratitude, even for life's mistakes. You've got the book, now get the tools. Join me for this exclusive webinar where I will teach you how to create more perfect days in your life. Welcome back to the Perfect Day podcast. We are live here at Dig South with lead designer, jewelry guru, Jessica Schmidlapp of Dudley VanDyke. I get the pleasure of telling you, for those of you who are here watching us, I have my very own Dudley, which I would wear to sleep with my pajamas.
You're my mascot.
If it wouldn't like knock me in the eye and give me a black eye.
Thank you.
It's that special to me. So thank you for being here today. On break, oh my gosh, we talked about so much, and I want to bring it back to Perfect Day and frame a little bit of a story. I need to have a tiny bit of a me moment, if that's okay. I don't know if you know this story. I know we've gone through Perfect Day together, but I don't know if you know this story. It was a cold day, January, I think the year was 2003. And the reason why I tell you this story is because someone came to me and said, you've got to go to this Perfect Day workshop. And I was like, what's it about? I don't get it. Like, help me out. And
Who has time?
who has time and how much revenue is it going to produce for me today?
Right.
Zero.
Right.
So I took a deep sigh and I said yes. So I pulled into the parking lot at Mach speed into Middleton on 2 wheels. I'm blaring Enya because I'm like begging the universe. I'm like, please, please, please get me into this place because I'm not in this place. I'm not in the place I need to be, which means I'm going to waste a day of my life with no revenue, and I'm not going to emerge with, like, she's telling me I'm going to like walk away with this perfect day. All of that to say that a very special person in our lives was at that Perfect Day workshop, who introduced us later, unbeknownst, and who knows, maybe a decade later.
At least.
Yeah, maybe a decade later. Emily Avedon. But all that to say that my perfect day, I emerged with, I mean, here I was, no kids. Was I married? I was married. No kids, I was married. You know, here I was, this like Wall Street disruptor full of piss and vinegar, right? All I wanted to do was like disrupt Wall Street and all the ineptitudes and just horrible things going on with finance and in the investing world. And I emerged with this East Coast gal from Charleston. I emerged with a perfect day where I was climbing mountains. Who knew? I was climbing mountains. I had a nonprofit called She Climbs, and I was going to have 3 boys.
Nope.
The three boys didn't happen.
Nope.
But isn't it odd? I had She Climbs in there, yet I had 3 boys.
Right.
So that's weird.
Right.
So 2000.
The universe gets it right, baby.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, the sex. I mean, they were girls to begin with.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The boys in the story.
Yep.
So all that to say, I mean, mountains jumped into my perfect day. Bizarro. I'd never climbed a mountain in my life. So my question to you is, when you wrote your first perfect day or subsequent perfect days, was there any like aha or shock that came out of it that you were like, where did that come from?
The shock would be, and this is going to sound a little woo-woo for those who know what woo-woo means.
I love it.
But the shock would be that it happened. Like, it wasn't just words on a piece of paper, that it actually happened, that you can be thoughtful and planful to a degree, and you can manifest things in your life.
By just putting pen to paper?
No, but by kind of, I think they're baby steps that we take every day. I mean, so I was widowed, and I wasn't a angry, hurt divorcee. had been well loved, and I thought that would be out there for me somehow. And my perfect day, as it went on paper, as we've already said, included blue water disco music. I think like tiki torches on the beach and dancing, and it involved good food and wine, and someone I'm dancing with, and obviously my daughter, and it happened. So I think one step per day, per minute, per hour, I don't know, and I got myself to where I wanted to get myself.
So one of my favorite sayings of my favorite author is Paulo Coelho, that miracles.
The Alchemist.
Do you love him?
I read it every year on my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Every year on my birthday.
Okay, I've read it maybe 3 times,
yes.
maybe 4. It's definitely my number 1.
Yep. Ditto.
I love that.
Yep.
I didn't know we had that in common. Yep. I love that. But one of his favorite things that I read is the saying that miracles happen every day, but if we're just not looking for them, they can pass you by.
That's right.
And so for me, that perfect day process that I found way back in 2003, I was like, holy shit, this has got to be incorporated in my financial planning practice. Like, how in the world can I be shepherding people to this like elusive retirement at some far off date and not shepherd them down this process? Right. So it took me time. I mean, that was 2003. I didn't start indoctrinating this into my process, into my practice rather, until 2009 or 10. But all of that to say that I feel like what you just mentioned about sort of writing it down and how beautiful it is and the ahas that had happened is that had you not written it down, would you have seen the miracle? I think it brings the miracle to light a little bit.
It does.
Like, I wrote it. It happened.
Right.
It's a miracle.
And it's stuck in a drawer right now.
Right.
And, I come across it once a year, once every 2 years. And then you go, yep, it worked.
And you don't have to read it. You don't have to read it all the time. You don't have to. It's not this striving towards a goal, right? I almost feel like, and this has been said before, I feel often like Mrs. Who, and from The Wrinkle in Time, where you just re-quote people. Right. It's like, I'm just a vessel. I'm just re-quoting people. Right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing or talking about, but I'm going to quote people that I have seen in 22 years of client experiences that I know are true. Right. That I know are true. Right. But it's been said before. If you write it, it can happen. You don't ever have to.
They will come.
You don't ever have to look at it again.
Right.
So moving on break, we talked about never say never. Tell me what that means to you when you say never say never. We were having.
Life. Thank God. I mean, it's full of ups and downs, but it's so full of surprises, and coincidences. And as you were just saying, if you didn't write it down, would you be paying attention? That's not exactly how you put it, but I sort of do in the morning before I get up from, before I pick my head up from an insomniac night.
We entrepreneurs have those.
That's it. And but I try to sort of set the attention for my day, and it's not all the way to a 411 plan. But I just think about what I have going on, who I'm going to see. Am I having a meeting? Am I planning to speak with someone? Is there something difficult? And, can I set the intention that I will be heard, that they will hear me in the way I mean for them to hear me, and that, can I bring a moment of light to someone at the grocery store, or I don't know, anywhere, just a moment of encouragement or a smile.
Contribution. At the heart of every perfect day is contribution, I believe. Yep.
So, and I, at the same time as I'm sort of setting that meditation intention, I'm thinking, and I say it all the time, like, hey, God, if you need me to hear something or know something, you're going to have to yell, because I don't always hear it. I'm like, I pray that I hear what I need to hear. So it's it's crazy times. And,
it is a crazy, messy world.
It's a crazy, messy world, and we're all hanging on by our fingernails half the time. And it's an amazing thing if you set your intention. you circle back at the end of the day. I'm preaching this to my now 19-year-old, and life she's got issues, and it's emotional, and it's painful, and it's scary, and
how could you not when her father passes away at 12, right?
True.
Yeah.
But now she's like her own not little.
Yes.
She's her own big, amazing
big,
human
gorgeous.
adult. And, just, honey, like set the intention and a lot of love and light and let it go. Let it be.
So much of the podcast today in particular have talked a lot about our children. And, and no one's epitaph ever said, you wish you'd worked more.
No.
But on every happy mommy's epitaph was, she was a great mother. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just...
How about she was awesome? Like, she was groovy. Oh, that's the word, because I'm the disco mama. She was groovy.
She was groovy. One of my continuing 411 everyday tasks, and again, 411 is about getting 4 things done that will bring a perfect day to your life before 11 a.m. And it's a lot about setting the intention, like you mentioned. And there's a lot of confusion out there in the world that those 4 tasks have anything to do with, your to-do list, the hamster wheel.
Right.
And it's not.
Not at all.
But one of the ones I'm working on ever since Atlanta Perfect Day this year is writing my obit.
Oh, be careful.
I
don't know.
It's okay because...
Yeah,
because
it is what it is.
Unlike you or maybe somebody else,
right.
I have this vision of I want people fucking rolling and just laughing at my funeral. Like, that's what I want, And I know this may be raw for you, so I didn't intend that.
No, I've already picked my music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, y'all, if it goes fast,
it's
this Darius Rucker song. It's this Bee Gees song. It's
nice.
Darius, did you hear that? Darius.
Yeah. Which
Charleston, South Carolina native.
At D Rucker is his Twitter handle. No, I'm teasing. I don't know it by heart, D. It just always populates. Sorry. Yeah. What's the song, by the way?
Oh, it's the one about his mom who passed.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah. We love you, Darius.
We do love
Darius. We don't do titles. We just know how to groove it and sing it. We sing every word. But all that to say about the obit is I just wanted it to be funny and hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want my kids
Not that
front
people are going to be
row.
laughing at your funeral, just so you know.
No.
Truly.
There could be.
They're going to be devastated.
No.
Yes.
No. And I could read you a first few lines. Like, here's the worst thing about writing my obit is that, like, I've emerged into a writer. We were going to talk about evolution, but I've emerged into this writer, and now I'm writing this, like, hilarious piece that I'm, like, slapping my leg every day, but I can't share it.
I love it. No, you can't. You got to sit on it.
It's got to be a
But
surprise.
are any of the people who matter going to be here? Like, I'm older than you.
Well, I don't know.
I could predecease you, and I'm not going to get it.
I have this creepy... Okay, so maybe I'll share it with you.
You could share it with me.
Okay, thank you. You're fulfilling an unfulfilled need of mine. But the point is, as you had mentioned on your epitaph or on your gravestone, it would be groovy or
groovy.
Like, she was groovy.
She was groovy.
And those are 411 tasks.
Yeah.
Like whoever comes up with what your epitaphs or what what's going to be on your gravestone. And
she was groovy and she wishes she could speak Swahili. That. Okay, there.
Well, you are groovy and you do speak Swahili. Yes, and you do. So we have to wrap up, but a few seconds on evolution. So when you launched Dudley, I know that listeners are going to want to know: have there been any pivots? Has there been an evolution? What I love about, say, for example, what I've done from evolving from a woman in a man's world in stodgy finance in Charleston, moving, in an asset management business, then into consulting and into a perfect day platform, and it all really working together. It's like I wrote about this last month, about the taxi cab evolving to Uber. What I love about the Dudley VanDyke story is, like, this is an antique watch fob I'm wearing. And so you've done sort of reverse evolution, which I think is really, really creative. Mm-hmm. But has there been any evolving in your business where you've had to pivot and had to see trends? And could you share that with us in closing?
So that's tricky. That's loaded. I backed into this business. I had exactly zero absolute jewelry business. I had some design background, but it was interior design. So we backed into it.
Which is what makes it such a great story, by the way.
Well, thank you. And And I do hope that these pieces are just beloved and they become heirlooms. And, they're not inexpensive. They're sterling and gold. And gold, there's an evolution. The price of gold keeps going up.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I founded a company that owns a whole lot of gold.
Yeah.
It's not like I started a company that, deals in women's swimwear.
Yes.
And all we could do is burn the fabric.
It
No, it's Lycra, because we couldn't even burn it. So
who wants a bikini anyway?
in some ways,
Damn
it's a very permanent asset.
Yes.
Gold, metal. But in terms of evolution, I think what I have loved is allowing people and organizations and other companies to kind of come in and show us, what we needed to do next, and just allowing for the right relationships, the right vendors. It's fun, and I part of why I did this. Obviously, it's nice to be able to hand something down, to our kids and grandkids, and I mean that's a dream. But I wanted to meet great people. I wanted to have relationships with retailers like Krogan's who, meaningful relationships. I never saw this as being a company that would be in every jewelry store in the country. And I wanted to meet great people. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to grow. I wanted to expand my knowledge. I want stone cutting. I love the energetic properties of stones and marketing and social media. I mean, there's just, at some point it was like, there's so much I could learn here. And I just wanted a totally groovy experience.
And so,
Back to my headstone.
Yeah. So it was an evolution of you.
It is.
It was an evolution of
it
you.
Is.
And I love that. And I'm going to leave you with some concepts that I think our listeners can benefit from, which is you had some clarity and you have high focus on a team. And you're focused on what you do best, which is your Eunice, which I think is awesome, and putting trust in a team. So with that, I wish you all the luck.
We're trying.
Dudley VanDyke. Give us a web address and your Insta feed. How do we find you?
So social media, that's one of my cruxes.
Yeah.
DudleyVanDyke.com and Dudley VanDyke.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So beautiful Instagram quilt and feed, by the way.
Thank you.
You should follow Jessica and Dudley VanDyke at Dudley VanDyke on Insta. And I thank you so much. You have made today a perfect day for me.
I love it.
And I look
Yay.
forward to having more perfect days with you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
My
Make
pleasure.
it a perfect day.
Thank you.